we get.
So my understanding is that most of the boards come from abroad, either from Australia. There are a lot from Bali, Indonesia as well, Thailand. But here in the Philippines, they do create their own boards, but then of course it's fire resistant, so it's definitely more stiffer, it's harder. Yeah. But everything else is just imported abroad.
It's another business opportunity out there, maybe. Like rubber fins, this is the industry that can grow. Manufacturing rubber boards, the soft tops. This is the industry that can fill in here to the Philippines, where that business-minded entrepreneur can step out and see this gap in the industry and start filling it, because in the Philippines we can have quite high tax revenues on items that are imported. So this is a part of the industry growth where ideas like this come up. We need those investors, those entrepreneurs to sort of step in to make these ideas a reality and a feasible reality for local businesses and local surf instructors.
I'm glad that you picked up on where I was about to go right then and there.
I think what's good about what we just heard is that we get ideas for some business opportunities. It's also the first time that I've heard of. I'm not really into surfing. I've worked on policies and programs developing surfing in the Philippines, but surfing, no, I only stood on the board once. But yeah, it's also the first time I've heard about that. So I think it's an opportunity for the surfing community in the Philippines to have that, be part of the business. The surfing economics. I think the next session we'll be discussing.
Yeah, so after lunch we're going to be talking about surfing economics, and I'm sure a lot of the people here in the venue would of course be interested in that as well. No? So come back after lunch when your stomachs are a little more full. How about the experience in Australia? You guys earlier talked about, you saw the growth. You saw the growth of how a surfing community did, kind of just was the initial was the initial community there, and then eventually it grew and grew and grew to become, like we were talking about a while ago, the DOT was talking about the passive and the active members in sports tourism. So talk about the growth and how you see the Philippines, in terms of the Philippines, and how it can grow as well here in relation to what happened in Australia.
I think probably what will happen organically is that more and more people, they'll come, like your business is probably growing down in Scarborough, same with you in Indonesia and other places that you've got it. So if they're providing a good quality product, then people will come. If it's a nice, safe, if you think about surfing, it's a high risk sport with a very low incidence of problems. So if you've got people who can look after the learn to surf people in the water, they're going to get confident, they're going to keep coming back. They'll go and tell their friend, and their friend, go to Lake Union, go learn to surf there, So here's more and more people coming from Manila, from overseas, from wherever, local and international tourists will keep coming here because they know it's a great, safe sport. And as we mentioned earlier, all the offshoots are all of the businesses that will grow from that. We're talking here about softboards. My mind's just going, all I can think about is there's so much waste on the beach. We spoke about that. Lorraine said, one of the things, take care of your waste. So you could recycle the waste products, turn that into your rubber boards, into your rubber fins, into the things that you need to do. That's a long end game, but I mean that's what you should be thinking about now, because in the future someone's going to pick up on that, and you could get a local supplier, you get a local importer who contacts G-boards in Australia, and suddenly there's business going on between the two countries or wherever. So and it can grow pretty quickly, like in Torquay on the surf coast where I am. It's literally 1968 to now, and there are global surf brands that have been around and successful for 30 years.
Maybe the person's here in the venue right now.
Oh, they are here. They're definitely here. It's just grabbing it and running with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's important also to note Australia's gone before us, Indonesia's gone before us. We can learn from the mistakes and benefit from the growth. I think some positive angles is the professionalism that's done in Australia. Everything runs through Surfing Australia and through their regions like Surfing Victoria, Surfing Queensland, Surfing New South Wales. So to have the original standards set by the governing body of where things should be going and developing from, instead of many different pots and many, the saying, too many chefs will spoil the broth, too many standards, too many opposing organisations can also ruin surfing. So I think that's one of the things in Australia, also Indonesia, where we had many different categories all came under one banner to set the standards, to set the growth, and to set the actual formula that went forward.
And Jeff, you mentioned a while ago that you remember growing up here, like back in the day when you didn't know what to do. It was raining, there's nothing else to do. And then you saw the growth. I mean, I've seen the growth. I've only been coming here for maybe about 12 years, 10 years, and I've seen the growth in that span already. But what are the challenges in terms of surfing? Because you can see it in the water, right? You can see the amount of people in the water in front of Kahuna that just, it's just so crowded. So what have you seen and what has been done in terms of trying to control it to some degree?
Actually, I just want to share, Gino has been going with me since I started surfing. So I've also seen him grow. Marami siyang marami ng girlfriends na dumaan dito. But anyway, just to share. From when I started surfing, kasi parang there was already the La Union Surf Club. And this, I grew up with them. They taught me how to surf, etc. But there was really no official framework or standard or mode of instruction. At the same time, there was the surf schools then were just nipa huts by the shore. It was in a salvage zone, so we didn't coordinate with the local government yet. We just put up our shacks and all these things. So it wasn't so noticeable yet at the time where there's not a lot of people coming to visit or to pay for a hotel or a restaurant. But the minute that more people started coming, we started putting up parties, events. Events was the major driver here, really. And surfing, as we would say, was secondary. Lifestyle was primary. And we saw that the growth was so fast. The minute that La Union was put on the map, same thing with Siargao. When the movie Siargao came out, that whole week after that, there was traffic in General Luna. So it's really quite quick, the growth. So I think the challenges for this is really making the locals understand that the growth is quick. Mabilis yung pagtubo ng turismo beyond what you're thinking. Sometimes you think that you have time to prepare, may oras kayo na gumawa ng business ninyo, pero mabilis gumalaw yung ekonomiya. That's why a lot of people, the local instructors that I consider family, they always go to me, they ask me, how come yung ibang businesses mas malaking kinikita? Hindi naman, they're not even from here. They're from Manila, they established their businesses. So the locals somewhat feel, how do you say this, left out. So one of the things that I think that should be supported would be how the locals can thrive in this type of situation. So they can adapt to the growth. Because as you said, there are other destinations who are behind, let's say, Bali or Australia. And I think we have that knowledge now and we can help these communities through this interconvergence of the LGU, private stakeholders in the DOT, to guide them and for them to grow properly. It's like taking care of a pet, diba? So you have to make sure that it's healthy, it's well, it's not excessive, you don't feed it a lot. So those are the things that we kind of have to focus on, the locals. And also, of course, yung mga local government units natin. Again, I'm just trying to say this again. I've been a part of the private community, of the business community, and I am now in government. So all I'm saying is to our family in the government, you guys have to listen. You guys have to instill the laws. You have to walk your talk. You want to own the event, you want to own the sport, you have to give back to the sport by properly giving attention to those that need it. So, yun lang, two components, improve the partnership with the local government as well as support for the locals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And speaking of which, now, you talked about the events, you talked about the growth, the rapid growth here in La Union. And Lorraine mentioned na kanina about the pollution. And that could be a little bit of an issue as well. You guys mentioned about turning all that pollution into the rubber bins and maybe even using it for some boards. But what did you guys see a growth of the pollution when there was more development that was happening here in La Union and even in other places?
This is something that we were talking about because PET handles one major event of WSL, which is Bell's Beach. And then what I was shocked to find out was that those structures that they always set up for the competitions, they look really sound, and I thought they were permanent. All this time they weren't. And I also asked, like, how is it with WSL? Like, does it get any easier each year? But every time, because WSL is being so successful, it's bigger and bigger. And on the structures and everything else that you use to create what they need for the facilities, there's more and more and more. And they have to take it away. But Australia is, since Bell's Beach is also something that they are building on a surf reserve,
Yes,
they actually
surf
don't
reserve.
keep the structures there. So they are fully aware of how to keep everything as pristine as they can. With what I am worried about with La Union, and we also see it unfortunately in Bali, is just that with the exponential growth of all the resorts and everything else, there is a lack sometimes, there are certain places which have been great. I think Siargao was also one of a good example of this, where everybody was great with their own water dispensers. Nobody had water, they minimized their individual water bottles, and then water was actually distributed for free. Because of the recent typhoon, it became difficult for their access to water. Then balik na naman sila with the water bottles, so with the plastic bottles. So again, the whole increase. Bali, unfortunately, is also notorious for those individual water bottles, or even it's not water bottles, it's plastic cups, those little Dixie cups, and they love their bottles and everything else. It's all these individual plastic cups. And while it's easy and convenient, it's constantly found on the beach. Every wet season in Bali is that trash that has been gone through all the riverways, it comes back tenfold. And we have a lot of trucks that have to constantly clean the beach. And this is what we don't want places like La Union and Siargao to experience. Unfortunately, of course with Bali, it's just, with Indonesia itself, it is a huge, there's so many more islands. What are they, 14 now? They're double the size of islands there. But this is something that we can learn from with those that probably do waste management, like with the likes of you have Australia or other first world countries.
Just adding to that, I think that surfers, we're natural environmentalists because we spend so much time in the water, we're at the beach, everything we do is in a natural environment. We're not at a basketball stadium or some other man-made thing where we're literally, unless you're in a wave pool, but we literally are just enjoying our environment. Our environment is our playground. And so we just naturally want to care for the environment. And so I think what you're hearing here is that it's easy for us to talk about environmental issues, but it needs to go to that top of the power, the top of the tree, and go, okay, so the local government or the council or the land manager, they want certain criteria met to make sure that the event or the surf school program is sustainable and is not going to impact on the local environment. So it's really easy for us as surfers and the surf community to take that on and go, okay, well, we will do that. As I mentioned, we were talking before, at the Rip Curl Pro, over a 2-week period, over 40,000 people go to the Rip Curl Pro. So we've set the tone where we divert over 72% of our waste away from landfill. So everything that comes to that event, we have some control over. So, you know, the guy delivering the photocopiers, he turns up and, you know, last year he had it all wrapped up in plastic. This year, we don't want to see your plastic, mate. You know, like, don't bring your plastic here. Or if you do bring your plastic here, you take it with you. Now it's your problem. And it took about 5 or 6 years, and before we knew it, people knew, oh man, I'm going to Rip Curl Pro. I can't take any rubbish there, you know. Like, and that's the people delivering the beer, delivering the grandstand, delivering the portable temporary structures, whatever it is, the production crew, the World Surf League. The World Surf League use our event as their champion for all other events because of our waste management strategies and our sustainability and the way that we look after the Bells Beach surfers themselves.
Did you have to be really strict with that, right? It was a lot of, was it a bit of trying to get everybody on the same program?
Look, I think the lead up to getting to that point it was, and then it got to the point where we just went, right, line in the sand. We're done, you know. If we're going to do this, it starts right now, and what we did yesterday, we don't do that anymore. But going forward, this is how we're going to do it. Look, there's a lot of industries that don't like it and they struggle with it a little bit, but once you set the ground rules and once you make that decision, everyone's on board now. For example, our food vendors who have to use all compostable products, everything that they bring to the event site has to be compostable. When they first started, they're like, oh man, you know, it's going to cost me a fortune. I can't afford to buy, you know, 250 compostable coffee cups. And we're like, well, if you want to sell them at the Rip Curl Pro, you're going to go and buy those coffee cups. Now those vendors, when they go to other events, other local councils and the land managers at the events, they turn up and they go, we're 100% sustainable. Everything that we use, everything that we sell, you can literally just go, you know, it's not going to go to landfill, it's not going to go and damage the environment. So, yeah, it's just a line in the sand where you go, today's the day.
Yeah, may I add, you know, pollution, overcrowding, and environmental degradation are really, you know, what we can expect when a tourism destination grows exponentially and uncontrolled. We've actually seen, we all know what happened to Boracay and, you know, where it is going right now. The reason why it was really closed because of waste pollution, and there are a lot of events. You've heard about La Boracay. It's one of the biggest events in Boracay where after that event, you know, the waste, garbage is just everywhere. And then maybe the environment just suddenly told us, hey, we should stop. So I think it's a responsibility of everyone. While it should be led, you know, waste management should be led by local government or national government of that, but each and everyone in the community will have to put in. I think in Boracay that's what also happened because the private sector now realized that, you know, they really have to do their part in keeping their environment pristine because that's the main resource or the reason why people are going to the island. So you're right that at a certain point, it's really going to be the business community telling, hey, let's, you know, let's work together to keep the environment, the basic resource that we're trying to sell and attract visitors to come, you know, sustained and maintained at all times.
So,
it's difficult, but yeah, I think
that once upon a time, if you did anything, your impact on the environment used to be the last thing you would worry about. Like you'd go, oh, you know, if you're running a surf event, we need to have, what's the first thing we need? We need athletes, we need surfers, we need judges, we need infrastructure, we need food, we need water, we need all these things. So you start up here with your athlete, by the time you get down to here, you start to worry about the environment and the impact that you're having. Whereas I think now, you should turn it all on its head and start with what impact are we going to have on the environment, and then the flow down effects from that will just make sure your longevity of anything that you're trying to do in this day and age, no matter what it is. So, yeah.
Can I just finish? The places like Siargao, Lotwinian, Belair, Kaboogal, generally they will be the ones least contributing to the ocean plastics. I know in Siargao there's actually ordinances, there's no straws, there's no plastic bags. We'll often get pasta straws, paper straws. And these are initiatives set up by the government. It doesn't slow down our trash. It's more of a root problem. I know the Filipinos love their top 10, but unfortunately they're within the top 10 of ocean polluters amongst the world. And like I said, these communities where surfing is prominent, you'll probably find less garbage entering the water, but it obviously comes up on the beach. Some initiatives in Australia, when Australia was back 20 plus years ago, maybe 30 years ago, education. Departments of Tourism met up with Departments of Education and started this very aggressive push to educate the children of Australia. Do the right thing, put it in the bin was one of our slogans as we grew up, which gives me the confidence to go to someone older than me if I see him throw trash on the ground. In Australia, I have no problem confronting him and telling him to do the right thing. So tourism really is beginning, like what Pete said, put the environment at the top. We need to get education, and that in turn gets tourism, that in turn builds this green environmental sort of caring where everybody's aware of trash disposal and alternatives.
In a developing country, that is quite difficult to ingrain in people's heads, though, right? I mean, it's with the sachet economy that we have, sachet mentality that the Filipinos have. We've seen so many of it on the beaches, like everywhere. Not just from the beach town. It could have been from a different island, and just being washed up the shore. So it is an uphill battle, but it's something that I think we all, everybody here, the LGUs that are here, the government agencies that are here, can definitely at least try to do something about it and help with the community and trying to ingrain it, the mentality, changing the mentality of the people in that sense. You really want to say something, right?
No, it's just that's also fascinated with how like they can be aggressive and as Pete said, where it's like, oh, no, that's it, this is how we do it. I guess also with the Philippines, it's different because like culturally, we're not very much in your face, aggressive, like we'll tell you right there and then. I guess with these guys, they're more used to saying things as it is. We call things as it is. With Philippines, it's a little bit more. You have to find around the back approach, but maybe if it was, our takeaway would be from them is that young age, with that and that being like, let's not be afraid. Let's not be afraid to do and have that lesson to do what's right. It might help. And yeah, but yes, with the Philippines, we do have that plastic sachet culture. Yeah, so it's a bit normalized almost, right, to see these things.
Yeah, exactly. For generations. I mean, that's the sari store is based. A lot of our economy is based on the sachet economy. So it's quite difficult, but it's something that should still be done. We should not do anything about it.
Yeah, it's not impossible because like, well, you do like instead of the sachet, it's like what if then again we just reduce things where it's like you go to a sari store. I know they're trying to do this. There are there are NGOs that try to introduce this idea again, reintroduce this idea to sari stores, where instead they are the ones that buy things in bulk, and then for the consumer, they approach their neighborhood, their little sari store with their container, and then they pay as much as what they need. If it's just like a peso of shampoo, then they're getting their shampoo, but then it's just in their own containers, rather than. But of course, this is a bigger discussion with the economics of everything. But in an ideal world, you wish that could be something that could be implemented.
Absolutely. All right, I want to shift gears a little bit here and talk about the certification of the surf instructors and whatnot. How is there help from the? Because it's going to cost some money, right? So is there help from the LGUs, from the government offices that will help out with the costs for surf instructors to get certificates and accreditation?
Yes, the Department of Tourism embarked on this surfing instructors training certification course. That's what Arlie Jeff and Paolo Soler was talking about earlier, the ASI Level 1. And this is a subsidized training program of the Department of Tourism, which we started in 2014. When I first came to know about it, and I came to appreciate the potentials of developing surfing in the country. And I said, this is what we need to do first to help our local surfers, be professionalized in the way that they would teach surfing, and of course in a proper and safe way. So, and we realized that the cost is way too high, but at that time I negotiated. It was Paolo and his father who approached DOT and proposed a training program for the certification course, and they said we cannot afford like way too high, and they were able to put the cost down, and that's when the DOT started, bringing this training program to. Of course, Siargao, to Baler, to Mati, to even in Calicoan Leyte, in Daet Capanduanes, in La Union now. And under our current tourism industry skills training program, it's already part of the, it can already be given on a regular basis. Of course, scheduled through our regional office, this level 1 certification training course. So it's a subsidized training program of the DOT. What we somehow we also want to have a partnership with the local government unit, because there's a prerequisite training, the first aid training and the basic life support. And if we incorporate that with the cost for the ASI level, the level 1 surf instructors course, then it would add up to the course. So our regional offices would engage the host local government unit to at least subsidize the pre-training, the first aid or the basic life support before proceeding to the certification course. So I believe at this point in time, since we've given those trainings to around our surfing destinations, we've already trained around 160 plus surfers, local surfers, but it's growing, it's expanding, because I've said this training program is already part of the tourism industry skills program of the Department of Tourism, and it's an annual training program.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good to know. And sorry, I missed it. Was basic first aid part of the training course as well?
Because it's a prerequisite. So the first aid course and the basic life support and water safety course, these are prerequisite to the beginner, the level 1.
So pretty much, if there's a surf instructor that has that certificate, he or she knows how to do all of that.
Yes, we made sure, because that's precisely the aim for all of these things. When we also conceptualize this first National Surfing Summit, just to give you some background, we conceptualized this, the Department of Tourism conceptualized this in 2016 after a former regional director from Siargao and myself and our undersecretary went to Australia for a benchmarking. I need some talk there on different topic, but at the same time, I took the opportunity to learn about the surfing community in Australia. And we really realized the potentials of surfing being developed in a particular community or destination. And when we came back, we said we want to, spread information to all our potential or an existing surfing destinations on the requirements, the potentials, the economics, everything, in developing and promoting surfing in the Philippines. So that's why, and we really would like to congratulate. Maybe it took a regional director after 7 years to have a surfing regional director to make all of this happen. And I'm really, really very happy that we have Arnie Jeff. Congratulations, Arnie Jeff. Arnie Jeff has been knocking na significant time. And we were, of course, overtaken by pandemic, and also finally we're here. So I think moving forward, the surfing, surfing Philippines, I really see a very bright future for it in the country. So we thank all our local government units who are here and our regional directors and of course our local surfers for making this happen. We are all in this together. Thank you.
Okay, so in just a few minutes, we are going to be breaking for lunch, but I just want to ask you guys if there's anything that you guys want to cover, any topics that you guys want to cover, feel free to do so, and we can discuss it here on the panel.
Just adding to that topic with surf instructors, this is where we need to work together. Egos and stuff, they need to be left behind at points. Where local surf organisations, board riders clubs, work with LGUs, work with an organisation such as UPSA to get a national registry, to make a national standard that will be replicated, like people saying what happens in Siargao will happen in Lotwing, will happen in Belair, will happen in Morongan. And I know there's some great leaders out there already setting these standards, so it's just a matter of unifying, coming together and growing forward, not just going forward, actually becoming that industry and becoming that professional level that we're looking for.
Maybe to add to John's, as part of the surfing community, maybe also for the locals, I'll say it in Tagalog. So siguro sa mga local instructors natin, saka sa mga local government units, huwag kayong mahiya na mag-train or lumapit to ask for training. Kasi right now, wala pang standard na framework for us for surf destinations. So we really have to standardize everything. And you cannot, the local government cannot just think on their own. You have to also think with us and the stakeholders. So if you have, let's say, contentions, questions, etc., it's best to have a sort of technical working group between the DOT, your local government unit, and UPSA. Because ako, matagal na po akong member ng surfing community. I was also accredited, one of the first, and I also had the surf school. I'm a local surf instructor, in fact. But even then, even as UPSA established themselves state, they are still the ones that we have to recognize. They're the ones that made the effort to unify everything. So that's why even if you have been in the industry for a long time, put your pride down. Baba niyo yung pride niyo, yung pride down niyo. Let's try to work together and talk about the certain united framework that we can use, so that at least the promotion of surfing, as well as the unified branding of Surfing Philippines, can be the same. Same thing with the training. We are starting with the ESI. Ginagawa na po namin ito. I know that all my other fellow regional directors are also starting to train their surfers. So again, hindi lang po sa mga nakikita natin is destinations ngayon ang may surfing. Marami pa po. In fact, here in Region 1, share ko lang sa inyo, I thought it was just Ilocos Sur, Ilocos Norte. Alam nyo na may surfing, meron pa palang Pangasinan. And it's for Intagupan, it's for beginners. Hindi siya yung pang-extreme. So, again, this is more for the economic recovery para sa inyo ito. We're doing this not because we wanted to make it popular or anything. We want to bring food to your table. Yun yung pinaka-importante because that's what our Secretary and our President wants to do in these activities, to give more jobs to the locals. So, yun lang.
I'd just like to add, I forgot mo. Baka pagalitan ako ng aking director ng Office of Tourism Standards. No, when we talk about standards and certification, accreditation, well, the DOT is a government agency that accredits primary tourism enterprises and even tourism frontliners. So last 2020, the DOT has issued Department Memorandum Circular 2020-01 for the accreditation, rules and regulations for the accreditation of surfing camps and Filipino surfing instructors. So doon, of course, this was really completed in consultation with our local surfing experts in the community, from all destinations. So hopefully we're able to really catch. Now, it's not too stringent a requirement, but at least it's a starting point where we can really help professionalize and improve the services of surfing facilities in the country, and of course the profession of surfing instructors and coaches. So meron po tayo nun. But I believe today or tomorrow tomorrow, our Director for the Office of Tourism Standards and Regulations will be presenting that to you para mas malaman niyo in detail.
Thank you for that. Anything else before we open the floor to some questions?
I think it's really important that you're all in this space, so everyone listens to one another, and hopefully somewhere you'll meet the common ground, and that's what will propel this whole industry forward.
And also the opportunity for you surf instructors to become regional trainers, upskilling the Philippine people by using Philippine people is also one of the visions of UPSA, where we don't necessarily need to go to Australia or go to Indonesia, where we have 5 or 6 Filipino local surf trainers, facilitators of training is what I'm trying to say. Trainers?
Yeah, or just creating those pathways to the elite level.
Yeah, so getting people who actually set the programs and run the programs at the level that has already been set. So we're not behind, we're running on parallel with Australia, Indonesia, America, and Europe.
Coach John, actually, just to add to that, as Rika mentioned this already before, when we were planning the whole ESI level 1, we thought that if we reach a certain number of level 1 ESI instructors, pagka umabot na tayo sa gusto nating numero, what we wanted to do was to kind of provide a train the trainers program, which is to increase the number of level 2 trainers. So, para at least, pag nag-train kayo ng level 1, meron kayong, kung gusto niyo ma-achieve yung upper levels, meron kayong opportunity. And when you get level 2, you can train people, we don't have to fly other people from abroad to come here. And at the same time, pag nag-abroad kayo, maghanap kayo ng, huwag naman sana, umalis kayo ng Pilipinas. Pero kung umalis kayo ng Pilipinas, mas maganda yung bayad sa inyo. So, it's not just giving you an opportunity here, but it's also giving you an opportunity when you go abroad. So, yun lang. Hopefully, Africa will approve of it soon.
No, that's really the vision. We want to really help. So I was just, of course, telling Chino here that, for our local surfing instructors, this can be a career, diba? You can look at that, you can be a surfing coach at a high level, yun na nga, higher level, and even work abroad. Huwag nyo lang kami iwanan, balikan nyo lang kami. Pa-recruit kayo na abroad. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's the vision.
No, we were in LA.
Okay, we do want to open the floor to some questions if anybody does have any questions for our panel members.
Huwag po kayong mahiya sa mga instructors, local government units. Magtanong na po kayo, now's your time to ask.
May microphone po dito sa gitna, and you can just approach the microphone and ask any question.
Si Lemon. Kamaya. Ito ang representative mo. Yan, Lemon. Hi. Sir.
Hold on, I'll go to you now.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for sharing your experiences and knowledge with us today. My name is Rolene. I live in Ligliwa in Zambales. So I'm just curious to know more about the waste management here in La Union as a more established surf destination, because where we live, the tourism is growing because of surfing, but the waste management is so poor, and we're struggling there with dealing with the waste. So I'm just curious about La Union's waste management to see if there's like best practices or if there still needs to be more work there.
Maybe I can answer on that. Actually, our board members or representatives here, provincial tourism officers, Julius and Art. But please correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I'm concerned, kasi with regards to the trash, thank you for asking that question, because trash is really one of the most important things we have to think about when we're talking about growth. So the biggest issue actually here is waste management. In the beginning, we only had a trash collection of, let's say, once a week in San Juan. And right now where we are is San Fernando City, right next to San Juan. So this is the regional hub. So the biggest landfill really is here in San Fernando City. But even then, the space of the landfill here is not that much. The lifespan of the landfill here is also close to its end. If they're not opening another one, it's not enough for the region, right? For the city itself. So when we're talking about San Juan, where the surfing community is, they actually have one, but it's not enough. And there are times where if there's a garbage collector who will get trash in San Juan, they would have to transfer the trash to San Fernando City for it to be deposited in the landfill in San Fernando, because there's not enough space in San Juan. So even now, even then, as you see the province of La Union being progressive in its course for tourism, it seems to me, or seems to us rather, that the pace at which the waste is growing is also quite fast. Sometimes even faster than the tourism traffic that's coming in here. So I think there still needs to be more things that should be done. One of the things that we're looking at is PPP, public-private partnership, because the local government really, we don't have enough funds, and we would have to really rely or ask help from the national government, but even the national government in itself has its hardships. So I think the biggest thing that we can take advantage of right now, what Mr. Peter Murphy had initially brought up a while ago, the opportunities of using trash as material, example for rubber fins. That's one of the opportunities we can do. But right now, in the context of the province of La Union, there's still a lot that needs to be done.
Okay, thank you for the answer, and thank you for the question as well. Again, we are open for some questions. Please just put your hand up and I will approach you.
Go Lemon.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Lemon from La Union. So, as lang ako kay San RDF kasi we just finished the first training for the ASI. So, I just want to ask if there's more training for kasi we're not yet finished, we're not yet done for the launch.
Yes, ubusin natin lahat yan. Promise ni Asik Rika yan when we started was ang goal natin, as long as we're here and we're pushing for the Surfing Summit, and we're confident that the Secretary is pushing this and we have the full support of the President. So hanggang nandito kami in the next 6 years, ubusin natin yung pag-train sa mga surf instructors natin. Kasi what we want to make sure is, again, we build enough numbers so that we can move on to level 2. Para, let's say, example, we reach 300 or 400 na surf instructors na level 1 sa Pilipinas. If we train 100 or let's say 50 na level 2, that's enough to expand or to make the increase of surf instructors na accredited na mas mabilis.
So it's like Lorraine. So if you are finished your ASI level 1, if there's a new who wants to join to be accredited from level 1, can we, as like example for me, is like I already finished my level 1. So it's like if there's someone from the La Union Surf Club who wants to be trained, can we train or cannot?
They still go through the accreditation. They have to go for level 2. Once you're already done with level 2, then the level 2s are going to be the ones who can train the level 1s.
The new.
Can I
That's the
clarify
new
that?
level.
So I'll just clarify that. Just because you're level 2 doesn't mean you can immediately train level 1. You have to go through a teacher, trainer, instructor's course, like what we did. Yeah, so just to clarify.
Yeah,
So actually that's supposed to be discussed tomorrow, but good question.
Nawala na yung question.
Yeah, because it's like I just asked now because last week there's a student and they were asking me if my instructor got a certificate from ASI. So they want me to send to them because their school now is very strict on that one. So I said, yeah, I have. But some of my instructors, they are not yet take the ASI level 1 because it's only 60. The last training last September is only 60 from LUSC. So it's like we are 170 instructors.
So I think as we can correct me if I'm wrong. So for the level 1 kasi, hindi naman siya, right now hindi siya required, right now. The ASI for certain instructors. Kasi in local natin, context natin, I know that there are people na hindi ASI na nag-train, di ba? But they are locally certified by the local surf club. Correct? Tama ba? So right now kasi, the reason why we're having this summit is because we want to make a standard for everybody to be trained before they really teach. Because like this will be brought up later on by the next panel. But we had incidents previously, let's say in Siargao, may mga accidents na nangyari, lumabas sa news, and the issue was, the safety and all. If you are accredited, it's easier to defend yourself because you already have the accomplishment of being a level 1. So if you're talking about having people teach na hindi pa level 1, better pa rin talaga na train.
That's why I was asking to Lorraine or Paolo. Kasi there's some of the short plan that they didn't get the level 1. So as a level 1, can we...
Hindi pa.
Hindi pa.
Okay.
Because
You're the top of mind for level 2 training. He's been really asking for it.
Because like with the, I guess with the aspect of like what Paolo clarified, because even if you've taken the level 2, it does take a different skill set to be like you to be a trainer, because learning how to facilitate a group, learning how to like also with the time management of the program itself, that's something that only comes with a certain amount of experience. So with the ASIC level 2s, they have to undergo that kind of training and also have their own probably opportunity to be given that kind of experience so that they can also then be able to facilitate the training sessions for ASIC level 1.
Kumbaga, just in short, kahit matagal na tayo nagsaserve minsan, kailangan duman tayo sa formalized standard of education. Kasi yung pagdadala ng mga tao is different from when you actually have to instruct in international standards. So I believe when we bring in mga schools like British School Manila, International School of Beijing, I remember bringing the kids here with Lorraine, and the requirement for us actually was to have everything prepared. The safety measure in case somebody drowns, how long will it take from that point to the hospital, what are you going to take? So all of those things are in this training. So those are the things that we have to really kind of teach to you guys, no? Even though now we've been in the industry for
Okay, thank you very much for the question and the answer.
Training pa.
Questions? We have a gentleman in the back over there.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Ramos from Zambales. I like, ihalo ko nila para lahat makano. For this panel, for this discussion, gusto ko yung sinabi ni Lorraine. In the long run, may sinabi siya na eventually, it should be the DOT, the Department of Tourism, the DNR, everyone else in our government agencies should work together. Why? Kasi we've been talking about this for the length of 2010, di ba, Lorraine? Wow. Beach. The very first National Surfing Convention in Campanile East, right? We were there. And secondly, with Ma'am Mag-isip Milo Bueno, standardization in Makati. And then this is the first National Surfing Convention in La Union. And we've been talking the same thing. But then we have done leaps and downs already for the past 10 years, 10 to 12 years. Specifically in terms of standardization in surf lessons. Nandiyan si ASI, nandiyan si ISA, etc. And what I'm about to ask right now are two things. So first is the framework that we need for surf resorts, for surf schools, for surf competitions. And I heard UPSA is gaining ground right now. Thank you guys that you're on board now. We need to work with you. All of the surf organizations here need to work with you. We need the framework. Why? Kasi, like for instance, in our case, in Zambales, there's a coastal road being built right now. And at first, it's okay. It builds infrastructure. But then when Lorraine said, oh no, i-claim beach front namin. Masisira yung sandbar namin. What happens to the surf community? What happens to the surf lessons? Ano mangyari? And the Department of the Infrastructure? PWH, right? They're pushing through with that project. So what's going to happen with that initiative for the environment? Siyempre dapat works hand in hand with the DNR and also with the DOD. There's no framework. Walang working together. For example, also another point. We have surfing summits right now, but we have numerous surf competitions as well. Na sabay-sabay. For the the competitors, they cannot go there all at the same time with the budget that they have. That's legit, di ba, guys? Hindi naman natin pupunta lahat yan eh. So we need what Jeff said, RD Jeff said, we need a framework. Yes, it's a long run, it's a long-term goal. But honestly, we need right now. Everything from surf resource infrastructure, surf competitions, we need the framework right now. I think this is the purpose of this discussion. Because we've been doing this for quite a long time already. I think okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Jeff, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, actually, just wanted to thank Mac for the words of support. In fact, Zambales is actually gaining ground. It's one of the closest places to surf in Metro Manila. In fact, may kasalanan ako hindi pa ako nakakabisita sa inyo. So, I'll visit soon. But for now, siguro, again, we do have an interconvergence with DPWH. We do have what you call DOT DPWH interconvergence. I think the regional directors have been a bit more active recently in trying to deal with their counterparts. Here, for example, in the regional office here, when I inspect the tourism road infrastructure projects here, I now go to my regional director and I actually advise him to avoid, let's say, for instance, taking out the old arcs, or let's say if they try to bump into the mother trees. Those are just simple things that it's not really part of our sort of mandate, but those are the things that we are trying to start small with. And one of the things that actually we are lucky with now is we have more dynamic leaders. So I've seen governors, younger ones, trying to really take into account the construction of these roads. So we have our district representatives here. They are also in charge of deciding of how these roads or construction items are built. So maybe we can also ask for the help and support of our legislators to put some guidance in it when it comes to building infrastructure. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, RD Jeff. Any other questions?
I would just like to continue where RD Jeff left off kanina, and the question also might be related. Surfing is quite new probably, and I'm speaking as a diver. No? We have the same probably concerns. We are water-based, we are environment-based. The environment is really the product. Without it, then there is no diving, there's no surfing. And at the end of the day, I think, like RD Jeff said, the NGOs have the biggest role. Since probably diving is older than surfing in the country, in our case in Central Visayas, the mayor of Mual Bual, which is one of the first diving spots in the country, is already a diver, been diving for 30 years. The lady mayor, she's now the vice mayor. The mayor of Panglao, Bohol, which is also an internationally renowned dive spot, is also a diver. She's now a councillor, but she was a three-term mayor of Panglao in Bohol. The LGU bought 2 speedboats just to chase around, all the illegal fishers. All our LGUs have MPAs, right? Marine protected areas and sanctuaries. And as discussed earlier, if the LGUs, the mayors and the governors are really into surfing and the surfing industry, like what I've witnessed, it's my first time to be in La Union and discuss surfing. So I'm more familiar with Siargao. It is really the mayor of General Luna, the late, what's his name? Oh, Rosilio, I need to see regional director, no? The governor of Surigao del Norte, and the congressman. It is they really who are there every day. I remember the late mayor, no? He was really literally begging for money every year for the, in dollars for the prices of the surfing competitions. And he was not ashamed about it. He started, I think, 15 years ago. Now, if this is what will happen, of course, it's still, I don't know which came first, Nomion or Guan or Baler. But we can say that the industry is quite big also over there. No? Roads, discussions about roads and the propriety of building a road in this or that area will not be much of a problem of the surfers if the LGU is involved in the industry and runs the industry, because no starter na yan eh, non-starter na yan eh. So hindi na tayo makikipag-harap sa kanila. Si Mayor na, si Gov na. So, I don't know when the time will come when in La Union, in Zambales, and Baler, the surfers will become the governors and the mayors, which I'm sure will happen. Because it happened in Cebu. I mean, the governor of Cebu is a diver, the department secretary of the tourism mayor is a diver. No, we all died in the region, our regional directors. Ganon din ata ang mangyayari sa later on. No? The RDs will be surfers, the mayors will be surfers. No, I think we are going there. But right now, it's more difficult because we don't have the mayor to, push the agenda of surfing it. But that time will come, siguro. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe one last one. Do we have, okay, I thought I saw somebody over there. One last question, and then we will break for lunch.
Good morning. In behalf of our LG, we are very grateful, DOT Jeff, for bringing us here for the First National Summit. Since we are Iron Sunshine Pupala from LGU Ago, we are an emerging surfing site, surfing LGU. So in our end, since we are just starting as a surfing destination of La Union added, surfing destination of La Union, how do we give the proper mindset to our constituents as surf instructors, since the major industry is fishing, unlike in San Juan na it is just for beach talaga po siya. And on our end, in the locality of Agoo, we have fishing as the main industry, so we wanted to integrate surfing as part of the tourism industry. So I would just like to get the idea of our speakers on the proper mindset so that we can include it in our plans and goals for our LGU, since we are already starting with our steps on making it possible in the locality of Agoo.
For me, this is an easy answer. When you were setting up the fishing, you consulted with the fishermen because they know the best fishing. If you're doing surfing, consult with your local surfers. They know the culture of surfing, they understand the dynamics of surfing, they understand the dangers of surfing. Even without formal training, the surfers know the most about surfing more than anyone else in any room, barring education or not. So leaning on the advice and the standards and the understanding of your local surfers, your local surf organisations from the area is 100% the way to move forward with surf tourism. It's 100% about the guys who spent the most time in that environment. And that beats step number 2 and 3 by miles and miles. And Pete maybe has something to do with this, local surfers?
Yeah, I think the thing to consider here is that you've got fishing in your village. Potentially there's another industry about to upwell there. So it's all about diversity, that those fishermen could potentially become the new surf guides or the new surf school operators. Yeah.
I think also there will be a natural spillover in such a way that since surfing has gotten so popular, you'll gradually start seeing from everybody exploring new regions after being from here in San Juan, La Union, they're going to start moving to other areas in Angoa. So probably like with the fishermen, you say that it's mostly fisherman village. Although the fishermen, they're the ones also who would have the best knowledge of the waves. That is one thing also where they have the opportunity to also service the surfers, take them to certain spots. They can do surf tours. They can also like expand from the surf tours, so it's not just Auckland. There's also the other islands or beaches, nearby beaches. But that's why it's maybe it's not going to come as instant, but definitely, as Jeff has always been stressing, it's going to happen soon. And I